Good afternoon and welcome to What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo. This podcast series is sponsored by Yes, I Can Coaching with Karen. What would you say to a naked alien? And the music talent of Cassandra Kabinski. Check the show notes for more information and links to our sponsors. Now, on today's podcast, we're bringing you real news, sometimes weird, always funny, at least to the comedy writer, Paul Seaburn. Today, Paul will talk about a Florida world record that makes Cleveland laugh, a millionaire fish in Japan, poor sheep in Germany, a small gorilla in Cincinnati, monkeys on the run in Missouri, also Cleveland's contribution to sports recycling and pierogi eating. That's a weird one. John DiNallo will be presenting his version of weird sports and his color commentary throughout the podcast. As the producer, I will provide my attempt at humor and ensure we are recording for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is a reminder that all the pictures that Paul shares, as well as our pretty faces, can be viewed by watching us on YouTube as we record live as well as stream. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free, and eventually we can earn a few pennies for this podcast. We are now in our 9th year, and we are in collaboration with Cleveland 13 News, WCTU. So watch for more information. And now, Paul, take it away.
Wow, thank you so much for that great introduction, Karen Hale, our producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, and co-host. Thank you so much again. You do more than attempt at humor. You are a pretty funny lady, So, we don't sell yourself short there. That's my job. So, and what a great intro to What in the World for all of you who don't know what in the world is. If you're visiting us for the first time, Karen couldn't have explained it. I couldn't explain it any better than Karen did. Real news, sometimes weird, always funny. We're here every week sharing what I consider to be the strangest, funniest, oddest stories that I have found in the world, in the universe. We go out of sometimes away from Earth and out into the outer space for some of our stories. They're all real as far as you can trust the internet, but the laughs are definitely why you should turn in. To tune in. There we go. Turn in. Don't turn in yet. It's only 3:30 on Tuesday afternoon. Not nap time at all. Let's see. What do we got? So thank you so much, Karen, for the intro. Thank you for all of you for joining us. If you come to us from, let's see, from Facebook, I have a lot of friends, and as Karen does as well on Facebook, joining us from newclevelandradio.net, the great podcast platform that Karen has put together. If you've come to us from another podcast, thank you so much for that. My fan from Mysterious Universe, where I'm no longer the head writer and editor, but my name is still on the website. So if you've come from there, thank you so much for joining us. I will mention to all of those people that I will be very shortly posting again my weekly mysterious news recap somewhere, probably on Facebook, maybe on Substack. So we'll talk about that on What in the World as well. So hang in there. I'm coming out of my funk, and
Okay.
let's see. The other voice you may have heard in your other ear is none other than John DiNallo, our sports guy, co-host, my old buddy from college. Hi, John. How you doing?
Hi, Paul. Hi, Karen and audience. Doing well. Doing great. It's Tuesday afternoon, and we're getting ready for again another Dynamite show, and looking forward to having a good time with everyone.
Dynamite. That's from Jimmy J.J. Walker.
Yes.
I don't. What was the name of the show? Good Times. Good Times.
Good times, right?
Karen mentioned that I'm a comedy writer, and this is a good time to point out that when I lived in Houston, Texas, I worked at a comedy club. And I used to pick up comedians at the airport and bring them to the club when they came in from out of town. And one of the people I had the pleasure of picking up and spending a great deal of time with was Jimmy J.J. Walker. What an interesting guy he is. He really gave somewhat of a start to Jay Leno and David Letterman, for example, by hiring them when they came out to LA as joke writers for him. That's how long he's been around.
Really?
Yeah. And that gave them a little bit of money until they could get established, get a cheap hotel or motel or and some food until they got established. So really nice guy, still working. Anyways, there's my J.J. Walker story. So let's get right to it with one of those stories that Karen talked about. So regular viewers and listeners of What in the World know that we love to talk about world records. That's one of my favorite things to talk about. World records of all kinds, especially world records by people our age and older, where you just, they're doing things that I couldn't, senior citizens doing things that I couldn't do when I was a senior in high school. They're doing it, in their, I don't want to say advanced ages, but, old enough to know better, you would think. Perfect example, Rick Brackens is the gentleman's name. He's 87 years old. He lives in Tampa, Florida. And, while I'm thinking about it, let's bring up our pictures here. There we go. He lives in Tampa, Florida, which is not his world record. He's only 87. If you're 87 in Florida, they still call you kid. John, you can vouch for that.
That is very true, Paul. That's a very true statement.
Yeah, you're a baby when you go down there.
Oh, yeah.
So he's 87 years old. He holds the Guinness World Record for the oldest man to kite surf. Oldest man to kite surf. Now, kite surfing is what you do. You stand on a surfboard and you hold onto a rope that's attached to a kite that is blown by the wind and somehow drags you along in the water, like you're on water skis, except you're on a surfboard. This is the kind of thing that's normally prefaced by someone saying, hold my beer and watch this. Because who does something like this for fun? Rick, obviously. Let's see if I've got a photo here of Rick here. Oh, there's one of our other sponsors, my book, What Would You Say to a Naked Space Alien, available on Amazon.com, and also there's a link on my website, paulseaburn.com. So check it out there. Well, here's Rick right here holding on to a rope that's attached to a giant kite that's pulling him along in the water. I posted this for you, John, when you go down to Florida. Watch for this guy, see if he's still alive.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. That's very impressive.
So, the Guinness people and the media sites that I go to thought that this was such a big deal. 87-year-old guy kite surfing. I said, we live in Cleveland, Ohio. This is not a big deal in Cleveland, Ohio. Maybe in Florida, but not in Cleveland. Go take any windy Sunday in January. And in January in Cleveland, all Sundays are windy. Make sure that the temperature is below 32, okay, which is generally every Sunday in January. So it's windy, it's icy. Go to any church on any Sunday morning, and you will see people older than 87 being blown across that icy, frozen parking lot to get to church. They don't need a kite. All they need is their overcoat and their babushka, and they get pushed far faster than this guy is going. We don't need the paraphernalia of kites there. And they're always in a hurry. They're in a hurry to get to the first pew. John, you can vouch for me here, my fellow Catholic. The older folks want to sit in the first pew, no matter what kind of shape they're in, running across the parking lot. When they get into church, they want to sit in the first pew. So the priest comes and brings them communion first. Okay, we know how good of shape.
No, that's very true, Paul. That is very true. And those individuals, those people, I'm sure have been doing it their entire lives.
Yeah, they don't want to wait in line. They don't want to have to wait in line. So, older people in Florida, I don't know. Can you hear that? No, I don't think so. The older people in Florida like kite surfing. It's And the reason why is, you have that neck flap when you're 87. It gives you some stabilizing when you're instead of the tail on the kite, for example. So someone said that to Rick that now he should try windsurfing, windsurfing. But at 87, you're already into break windsurfing, so he's not interested in that. And think about this. When was the last time you saw a kid fly a kite? He's 87. He's flying a kite at 87. When was the last time you saw a 12-year-old flying a kite? Karen, when?
I think it was when my 50-year-old son was 12.
There you go. Yeah. Kids tell somebody to go fly a kite now, and they have no idea what you're talking about.
You're right.
Yeah. They look at you and they say, old person, have you seen drones? We don't need kites anymore. We have drones. Well, you know what? I'll put my kite and my kite string up against any drone and get it tangled in there. And then your drone ends up in a tree like Charlie Brown's kite. And let's see what happens then. Yeah. I sound like a cranky old man, don't I?
I'm not going there, Paul.
Okay, so Rick, congratulations, by the way. 87, doing kite surfing. That's pretty cool. Here's another world record for us. This comes from, came too late for our holiday shows, but it's got a holiday theme to it. This lady is in Nigeria. She's a gospel singer. Her name is, I love this name. Her name is Confidence Survival Eong. Now, if her mother gave her those names, she's probably been in therapy, but I think she may have picked them out when she became a singer. She set a Guinness World Record for the longest marathon singing Christmas songs. Okay, so longest time singing Christmas song. She sang Christmas carols nonstop for 40 straight hours. 40 hours, not a break. Her audience also set a world record for the most times yelling "not again" when it came up to sing "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer." You run out of the religious Christmas carols and you got to resort to something like that. She also set a record for the most time singing "Joy to the World" without also adding "Jeremiah was a bullfrog." So that's me. You should hear me in church. I'm always singing "Jeremiah was a bullfrog." My lovely wife hates it. She also got credit for 2 songs every time she sang "Baby It's Cold Outside," because that's that one where you do the guy part and you do the girl part and the guy part, and everybody gets offended, and I don't want to talk about that. Okay, so we've got people like this in Cleveland, and you know them. We all know them. These are the people who know all the lyrics to the songs in the elevator, and they sing along while we're riding up and down to get to your doctor's appointment. Have you heard those people, John?
Sure, of course. Yeah, it just kind of comes with the territory. I don't think it's necessarily because we're in Cleveland, but I just think people in general, throughout the country, I think, when they're riding elevators, they're going to sing.
Sing along.
Not everyone, but a lot of people do.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
In Cleveland, especially if it's a polka, boy, they're singing, they're dancing, they're stomping. Good. Wishing they had a beer. What kills me though, and we're not that far removed from the last holiday. We hear Christmas carols nonstop now, starting like the day after Halloween.
Oh
yeah. Every day after Halloween, Christmas carol, and then there's a magic day shortly after New Year's Day when all of a sudden they disappear. They're gone. You don't hear them in the stores. You don't hear them on the radio. You don't hear people singing them in the elevator. It's like a neutron bomb. Remember those? They were supposed to kill people, but not buildings. This is a neutron bomb that kills Christmas carols.
Yes, and glad for it.
Yeah, but I'm grateful that they disappear, but it's just very spooky the way it happened. Santa's elves must enjoy it though. I think they might be behind it. They have a union contract that says they're only required to listen to Christmas carols up until January 6th, and then shut them off in the toy factory. John, check on that for me when you
I
get
will. I'll follow up and let you guys know what I find.
my union guy, John. Okay, so I want to talk about some good things that are happening in Cleveland besides people singing along to the polkas in the elevator. This is true, people. People who don't live in Cleveland, I'm telling you, I swear it's true. I've heard polkas in elevators in Cleveland. So our NBA team and regular listeners and viewers know that our man John, our sports guy, likes to wear Cleveland sports paraphernalia. So today he's dressed in his Cavaliers shirt. And is that a Cavaliers hat or is that a Guardians hat?
Cavaliers hat, Paul. Yes.
Cavaliers hat. It has a C. It could apply to just about everybody, I would say. And
Sure.
except for the Monsters. Oh, maybe they're the Cleveland Monsters. I'm sorry, I digress. So our NBA team is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They did something really cool. They announced that they are revamping their recycling program at Rocket Arena, which is where they play, downtown Cleveland, to better sort out the garbage and composting and recyclable materials left by the fans. Now, they're not the first ones in Cleveland who have come up with this. Huntington Bank Field, right down the street from Rocket Arena, also has had a recycling area for years, but they call it the quarterback briefing room.
Oh,
Sad but true. And
Sorry about that. It is sad but true,
It's a
John.
sad
You're
but
right.
true comment, Paul. Yes.
So, I think I've been to Rocket Arena many times. John, I know you've been to Rocket Arena many times. I think if they want people to recycle, what they need to do is with those blue cans, put a 3-point line right in front of the can. And, everybody will come and ball up whatever it is they ate, their nachos dish and giant, 84-ounce carton of beer and toss it, try to make a 3-point play. Solve half of the recycling problem, which is people not putting stuff in the right container.
you're right.
Yeah, right.
If they generate 6 tons of waste at every single Cavaliers game. Every game.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 tons. 7, they don't even count when the coach tears up his lineup cards. He does another ton of paper right there. So here's a picture of the new system that they've got here. These new bins, and they've got a little machine that all the waste after it's ground up, it feeds into. It's really a cool thing. But they said for people who don't think that it's worth doing this, they should think of Rocket Arena as a restaurant that serves 19,000 people every night.
The way of looking at it, sure, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just about everybody there buys at least something to eat or brings something with them. And what that means is that if they threw away 6 tons of stuff, they probably ate 3 to 4 times more. So right, yeah, which is why we have the home court advantage, because by the fourth quarter, all the Cleveland fans are so full that the court starts to tilt towards the Cleveland basket. It makes it easier for the Cavaliers to score. John, back me up on this.
It seems to me that that's happened more than once. Either watching the game on television or going in person, Paul. There's something to that. There is definitely something to that.
I think they have to adjust the cameras so that the opposing team doesn't catch on, opposing fans watching the game on TV. So while we're talking about food and big food, lots of food, this story comes from Tokyo. So there's a market in Tokyo called the Toyosu Market. It's the world's largest wholesale fish market. And every year they close during the holidays. And then they open up after the first of the year. And the first tuna that they sell, they auction it off. And they try to break the record for the not only the biggest tuna, but the most expensive tuna. This year, a single bluefin tuna weighing 535 pounds sold for, get ready, $3.3 million.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's our millionaire fish right there. A picture of that's not the guy who caught it. I think that's the guy who bought it. Bigger than his arms. He's a little guy, but he can't even stretch his arms across to. I don't know if he's trying to hug it. If I if I paid that kind of money for tuna, I'd hug it. I'd dance with it. I'd take it home and put it in bed. Before cutting up and eating it. It's so expensive. When they cut it up, they sell it in cans called chicken of the sea note. That's how.
Okay.
So yeah, where's my horn on that one? The buyer, I don't have his name. I couldn't pronounce it anyways. He's the owner of a chain of sushi restaurants in Tokyo. And after spending $3.3 million on one tuna, he's changing the name of the chain to In the Red Lobster.
Okay.
Hey, there you go.
Got that one.
The owners of Subway were there as well. They're bidding against him. So they didn't get the $3.8 million, but they did get a 1 pound tuna for about $6. And they're going to turn it into 100 million sandwiches. Yeah. That's big. I'm referring to the scandal that Subway does not use tuna in their tuna salad. They use real tuna, real cheap tuna, but real tuna. So sorry, Subway people. If you want to say nice things about you, be a sponsor.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. So while we're on the subject of animals, I posted this on Facebook. And by the way, I'll mention that again, that for those of you listeners and viewers, I like to test some of our stories on Facebook, on my Facebook page. So you can get an advance notice on what we'll be talking about on What in the World. If you follow me on Facebook, always a fun thing to do. You can also send me story ideas. And there's a number of people. Our buddy Brian, I heard from our buddy Brian, John, recently. He likes to send us stories. And Marion, who I've known for years through Facebook, she sends us stories all the time too. So this comes from Germany, the Bergsim, Germany. I have no idea where that is. A flock of about 50 sheep ran through the door of a supermarket.
Oh my
gosh.
Then, it gets better. Then they spent 20 minutes running around, breaking stuff, eating food, and pooping everywhere before they ran back out the same door. Now, the shepherd agreed to pay for the damage, and he says he had no idea where his sheep heard that you can get drunk drinking woolite. But that's a rumor that it started this whole thing. Some people disagreed with that. They said the sheep were looking for a bargain because they heard that it was Black Sheep Friday. I know. But sheep are smarter than they look, Karen. When they got to the lamb chop display in the supermarket, they made a U-turn.
Okay.
And I'll give that one a horn.
Okay, that's good. We finally got the horn in play.
So, yeah, get the horn in play. I like that. That's a good description, John. So Little Bo Peep would have no trouble finding these sheep because they left a trail of poop behind them. They said,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, It was everywhere. The supermarket had to call a company that specializes in picking up such a thing. In fact, it's run by a bunch of little tiny clowns that with little tiny buckets and shovels, and they go around behind the sheep and pick it up. They learned that in the circus, the sheep circus.
I can picture that.
I was hoping you were going to say, ew.
No.
I know. So the owner said it won't happen again. But the supermarket owner said it's definitely not going to happen again because he hired a special security team of robot sheep made with steel wool. So yeah. That's an obscure reference. John's my trivia guy, but you're not big on science fiction, are you, John?
No, I like a fair amount of science fiction, not an overt amount, but
If I say robot sheep, does that remind you of any science fiction writer?
It does not, unfortunately.
That's a reference to Philip K. Dick, a fairly well-known science fiction writer. he wrote a book called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" And that's a reference to that.
Okay, all right.
I mentioned that because he was known as a dystopian writer, one of the greatest dystopian writers of all time. Today, we don't call them dystopian writers. We just call them plain old cable news reporters because that's
Oh,
all of our news is dystopian nowadays, which is why we don't talk about it on What in the World. So we're going to move right on to another story here. The regular viewers should know that my favorite monster is John. What is my
the Loch Ness Monster.
The Loch Ness Monster? That's right. But my favorite real animal is the monkey or the ape or the gorilla. I love the simians, as they say, and not because there's any resemblance to me. So don't even don't even think about that. But we've got some monkey news of interest to Ohioans of all people. So a baby gorilla was born at the Cincinnati Zoo. Yeah, back in, I think it was in October. It was born to a 12-year-old female gorilla named Gladys. The baby's name is Maboka Joe is the baby's name. He's Gladys's first baby and the 51st gorilla born at the Cincinnati Zoo. So they didn't interview the father, which is kind of understandable because it sounds like he's pretty busy if they've had 51 babies there already. So, yeah, good job if you can get it, I would say, John.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So they have people that watch all this stuff on closed circuit TV. You know, they spend days and days and days, 24/7 watching all the animals from home when they could be watching, What in the World on YouTube, but they're doing that. And they're all excited because they said that the baby, Maboka Joe, is smarter than the average gorilla baby. How smart is he? He can already walk, he can climb, and he can eat sweet corn. And that's a picture of him eating sweet corn right there. Now,
Okay.
this is a big thing that I guess other gorillas don't know how to eat sweet corn. That doesn't impress me. I mean, if this gorilla can go into a supermarket and pick out 12 ears of sweet corn without having to husk them, then I'm impressed because that's a hard thing to do. Eating sweet corn, I don't think so. Plus, it looks like he's eating from the wrong end too, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work out for him, but
I'm
yeah.
not going to make any comments on that. So,
Okay.
And by the way, just to stick up for our zoo, the Cleveland Zoo, the internationally renowned Cleveland Zoo, we've got a gorilla there who, baby gorilla, so smart, she ate the giant pierogi that fell on New Year's Eve in Parma, Ohio. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive right there. Ate the whole thing. The Lost my place there. The also, it even held it up over. I don't have a picture of the pierogi, otherwise I would show it. So they're talking about this baby. Here's another picture of the baby and her proud mama Gladys, already walking on his knuckles. That's the big thing. He's walking on his knuckles, which means, of course, that the Browns were already scouting him as a future offensive lineman.
Okay.
Okay.
John, they'll have to fight off the Bengals, right? The Bengals probably want offensive linemen too.
Oh, yeah, sure, exactly. I mean, it's yeah, I mean, it kind of goes without saying.
What's the name of their quarterback?
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrows. Yeah, Joe Burrow. They should tell the gorillas that they should play for Cleveland because the Cleveland quarterbacks take better care of their gorillas than the
Bengals.
Burrows. Yeah, and the offensive linemen. Okay, the moving on to another monkey story. Speaking of monkeys, I had a segue all lined up there, but I didn't turn the page fast enough. So, speaking of monkeys, this story comes to us from St. Louis, Missouri. Animal control officials in St. Louis, Missouri are warning residents to be on the lookout for loose monkeys that were seen near a park on the northern side of St. Louis. Now, as soon as I heard loose monkeys, that sounded to me like it must be a tribute band whose number one song is "Take the Whatever Train to Clarksville." We don't.
Oh,
Yeah. So monkeys are illegal in St. Louis, as I guess they are in most American cities, but they made a point of saying that they're illegal in St. Louis, which explains why Charlton Heston wanted to be buried there.
Oh,
Now,
oh, right.
how
God.
obscure is that reference, Karen? We're challenging what in the world viewers and listeners to put a lot of things together to link up this monkey story and Charlton Heston. Uh, if you can't figure it out, ask your grandkids or ask your grandparents. I guess it would be. They're the ones who know. So these are vervet monkeys. They don't know where they escaped from, but they do know based on the pictures they're called vervet, which are easy to spot because if you look very carefully on some of the pictures, they look kind of green. They have a green tint to them. If you look like at the tip of the tail is much more green, and their back is green.
Yeah, I
There's
noticed that. I can see that. Yeah.
yeah, John. I think the animal people need to catch these monkeys before they ripen because then you'll never be able to spot them.
Oh,
Never thought of that, Paul.
Well, that's why I'm here, John, to do that.
Oh,
So they don't know how many monkeys are loose. They don't know what sex they are or where they came from. So, I thought they should put some beer out for them because then at least they'll figure out which sex they are. If they get drunk, they're male monkeys. Not hard to figure out. Yeah, right. This never happens in Cleveland. We never have loose monkeys running around in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but I've figured out the reason why. The reason why is that why would a monkey leave a house and go out and live on the streets when the house is already full of pierogies and kielbasi to eat?
there's your answer. Yep.
Yeah, that's the perfect food. Well, you go to the zoo. What do you get? Sweet corn. You don't get the kielbasi and sauerkraut. Plus, people in Cleveland wouldn't think twice about seeing a loose monkey in their yard. What they would do is what they do when they see every wild animal in their yard. They put food out for them.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? I went to a landscaping store recently, and half the stuff in the store is food for wildlife. They've got bird seed. They've got stuff for deer. They've got stuff for raccoons. They've got stuff for Bigfoot. You name it, they've got. Well, that was the Dunkin' Donuts next door, but they've got food for all the wildlife that you see in Cleveland, taking up half the store. We would love to see monkey. If I said, I don't want my neighbor who likes to feed his animals. If he saw a monkey, what he would do, he'd immediately put a big banana feeder out there.
Yeah.
Then he'd put a box there with a hole cut in it so the monkeys can go and reproduce and have more monkeys that he can watch. And then he'd put one of those cameras up there so that you can watch from inside the house, just like everybody.
Whoa.
Yeah. Kind of monkey cam, I think you call that. Which makes sense because this is Cleveland. It's wintertime. We don't have any other entertainment besides watching wildlife. So monkeys would be great. We could sell those videos on the internet. I think, especially the ones in the little box with the hole in it. I think.
That you could sell.
I know, but I'll tell you what. I know some people who would pay good money for that. I think we went to school with some of them, John.
We probably did, Paul.
So, we'll talk a little bit about sports here. According to a new survey, and this is another reason why we don't watch. We're so desperate for some kind of activity to watch in Cleveland in the wintertime. Soccer, according to this survey, is now the third favorite sport of Americans, moving ahead of baseball, which I was shocked, but still behind American football and basketball. Except in Cleveland. In Cleveland, watching the Browns finish behind, sitting in the dark during a power outage, not being able to watch TV. That's how bad football ends up in Cleveland in the standings. Where's my picture of a football and a soccer ball there? There we go. That's for John. If he couldn't imagine both football and soccer in the same
Oh,
story.
you did it, Paul. Wow. Okay.
Thank goodness for artificial intelligence. Where would we be without computer-generated photos like that? So soccer, I figured this out. Soccer is not popular with the older folks in this country. And I figured out the reason why. The reason is that there's no breaks for going to the bathroom. It's one long half, and then they have 10 minutes. You got to run to the bathroom real fast. Then another long half seems even longer because they just keep kicking it back and forth and back and forth. But you don't want to go to the bathroom because that's when they're going to kick it into the net, or somebody's going to kick it with their head, or either. I don't. Obviously, John's a sports guy. He can explain what happens in soccer better than I can. And then there's soccer moms. I feel sorry. Karen, were you ever a soccer mom?
No, because I was an assistant soccer coach.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
really? Wow. I
Yeah.
was just, I feel sorry for soccer moms, because at the end of the day, they've got this minivan just full of mud and hamburger wrappers and holes in the carpet from cleats. And they're sitting there thinking, why couldn't he take up chess? Of
Yeah.
all, I'd like to be a chess mom. She could drive a Mercedes, never have to worry about it being dirty. Anyway, so baseball is losing fans. And John, I think baseball will continue to lose fans until they get rid of the kiss cam. Because, after that incident this past summer when a couple was caught cheating because they were on the kiss cam, all the cheaters have stopped going to baseball games. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of people, apparently.
Yeah, I would think so. That seems to be a new issue for baseball, right?
Good place
Yeah,
to
sure,
sneak off
sure.
with your boyfriend or girlfriend. So I think cheap motels in Cleveland should take advantage of that. They should put big screen TVs in the rooms. Charge an extra $5. That would bring the room charge up to what, about $10, $15 an hour, and have game day specials. Come on in, watch the Guardians. The no cameras. We won't put your picture up on, and do whatever you want, and then go home. Oh, maybe it's just me. And if my lovely wife is listening, I'm not thinking about going to any Guardians games in the near future. So don't
Just
don't
in
read any,
case, just in
don't read
case.
anything into that, as John would say. So Cleveland isn't the only animal-loving city in the country. And this story, I love this story. This story comes from Ontario, Canada, the Cochrane Polar Bear Habitat Wildlife Refuge. And I'm not going to say that again because it's too long to say. It's a wildlife refuge in Ontario. They threw, get ready for this, a Sweet 16 party for one of their polar bears when the polar bear turned.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How about that? They
oh, how
oh,
cute.
the bear's name is Ganook. Ganook, the polar bear. So they gave Ganook a toy car. That's what that is, a toy car. The kind you ride in, not a little Matchbox car, stuffed with tropical fruit. They baked him a pumpkin birthday cake. They gave him boxes of snacks, and they even gave him an oversized driver's license, which after the party, they said after the party, Ganook got into that little toy car and he drove down to Florida for spring break. So
I don't blame them.
it
Yeah.
may have been a
Oh,
mistake.
wow.
They even had Neil Sedaka booked to sing Happy Birthday, Sweet 16 until
Oh.
he found out it was a polar bear, not a Polish bear.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know. This isn't Ganook's first big celebration, by the way, Karen. A few years ago, they threw him a bear mitzvah.
Oh,
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 good.
I So anyway, I want to mention one more thing. Today's date is the 13th of January in Cleveland, Ohio. Next week is one of the biggest weeks in Cleveland on the Cleveland calendar. And by that, I mean it is pierogi week.
Wow.
I bet you didn't know that, did you?
No.
Week.
I didn't know
January
it either. Wow.
How about that? That's why people should tune into What in the World. From January 19th through the 25th, it's Pierogi Week in Cleveland, Ohio. And if you Google Pierogi Week, you will get a list of 28 restaurants in Cleveland and restaurants and bars that will be serving pierogies all week. In fact, each of the restaurants and bars has an app with maps, so you can you can do a pierogi crawl and actually go restaurant eating them until you can't move anymore. So the rule is during pierogi week that if you do serve pierogies, you have to sell at least 3, and for $8. $8 is the price that they're charging for them. So you can fill up on, you can get pretty full on $8 for 3 pierogies. I think it's a good luck thing, 3 pierogies, 3 on a match, 3 pierogies on a plate, maybe 3 pierogies on a stick if you're down in Asia town. But you know what happens every year? The other ethnic foods get all upset. Why should pierogies have their own week? Why not Hungarian goulash week? Why not egg roll week? Why not Slovenian sausage week? Why do pierogies? We talk about pierogies all the time. Do pierogies need help being promoted? I don't think so. So I support the other ethnic foods. I think we should have weeks for all those ethnic foods. Belgian waffles. John, you like Belgian waffles.
I do like Belgian waffles very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
French fries. French fries, they're imported. Maybe they should have their own week too. But in order to have your own week, you have to give away prizes. And if you go to, believe it or not, you go to any of these restaurants during pierogi week and you buy your 3 pierogies for $8, you get a chance to win $250 in gift cards at the end of the week.
Wow.
That's a good incentive. Wow.
Yeah, and what people in Cleveland will spend their money on? More pierogies, of course.
Oh, sure. Too much of a good thing.
How about that? Yeah. I was amazed. I got a notice from some Cleveland media site that I belong to that it was pierogi week. So I certainly, for one, will be visiting some of my favorite pierogi emporiums in the Cleveland area. In fact, in the Parma area, which is where the giant pierogi drop was on
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, New Year's Eve. So believe it or not, we're going to wrap it up, my segment, with pierogi week. And that means it's time for What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. I think, there we go. There's his logo, What in the World of Sports. So regular listeners of our show, if you're a new listener, this is news to you, but the regular listeners know that John and I met in college. We're fraternity brothers. We've been friends all this time. John knows more about sports than anybody I know. He knows more about trivia pretty much than anybody I know, but I depend on him for both of those. And in this segment, which is his, we talk about weird sports. I challenge him every week. John, find me a sport that lives up to the motto, real sport, sometimes weird, always funny. And regular listeners will vouch for this. Every week, another weird sport rises to the surface like a phoenix out of the ashes. And John talks about them while I share photos of the sport. So, John, why don't you tell us what sport you've got for us this week?
Oh, I'm happy to, Paul. Thanks for that introduction. So, our sport this week is a modern one that may have been invented by a Roman gladiator who was afraid of horses, but he knew how to swim. What better sport for this guy than water jousting?
Oh, wow.
Let me explain. Water jousting is a form of jousting in which 2 competitors, each carrying a lance and a shield, they stand on a platform on the stern of a boat, which is propelled by rowers or sometimes propelled by a motor, and they fight with each other until one of them falls into the water. Sounds like fun, right?
Okay.
not for the competitor that falls into the water, but the person who was left standing.
I guess so.
Now, so from a historical view, the oldest representation of water jousting have been found on carvings by the ancient Egyptians, whose competitors didn't use shields and carried lances with sharp points at both ends.
Wow.
And you think that football is brutal. I think
Ooh,
this sport is at that time was very brutal.
yeah.
Now, evidence of water jousting was also found in ancient Greece, and the Greeks introduced it to Sicily. From there, it spread across the Roman Empire, where arenas were then flooded for naval reenactments, which included water jousting. Now, after the Roman Empire fell, so did interest in water jousting until the 12th century, when it began appearing again in many Mediterranean countries. One particular water jousting hotspot was on the Rhone River, which runs from the Swiss Alps through France to the Mediterranean Sea. In the 19th century, sailor societies were formed, and they practiced water jousting at festivals. In 1899, the Federal Union of French Societies of Swimming and Rescue was created, and it held its first jousting championship in France in 1901. In 1905, the union was replaced by the National Federation of Swimming and Rescue, which now also holds regional championships. That part is for you, Karen, because I know you're always interested
Yeah,
in
I am.
federations and leagues and so on and so forth. Now, a popular French postage stamp depicted water jousting was issued in 1958. The Federation of French Jousting and Water Rescue was born in 1964, following a strong disagreement with the formal federation, which was viewed as not sufficiently developing the game as a sport.
Hmm.
It is currently practiced throughout Europe, notably in Languedoc province, the Rhone Valley, around Paris, and in Alsace. Now, each region has its own methods of jousting and its own rules of engagement. However, they all agree on one important rule. The winner, is the last one to remain dry.
Ah,
Now, water jousting sounds like the perfect sport for our own Cuyahoga River here in the Cleveland area. However, to make it a true Cleveland competition, we will replace the lance with a smoked Polish sausage.
oh, oh,
A large one we'd have to have a large one, obviously, to be used as a weapon, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, that could be brutal. Wow, yeah. Getting getting knocked out of a boat by a Polish sausage. That's sounds a little kinky, I think, but what
Paul, I find this photo of for those of us that are watching on YouTube, the American Offshore Racing Marina, um, showing a contest coming up, or it was on Saturday, October 4th of this
yeah,
last year.
just
Yeah.
recently. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
I'm not sure where it looks like it was in the United States, but hard to tell.
Yeah, it is hard to tell.
The telephone numbers don't look American,
Right.
but there were some fairly modern photos in there of people, and it looks like a very violent sport. Even in this drawing right here kind of depicts what was happening in some of the other photos. The people who are rowing are in danger too. You
Yeah.
can put your eye out with that
With
joust
that lance, yeah.
lance, yeah, or get kicked by the guy who just got stabbed by the lance, or
Yeah, right. Look at that one rower there.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not sure that this would be a popular sport on the Cuyahoga River. Although it's nice that the water's clean enough that if you do get knocked off the boat by a giant Polish sausage, um, you won't die from the water or catch on fire as some of our
Right.
from other cities will always like to remind Cleveland. But water jousting, that's quite an unusual sport there, John. I
Yeah.
don't I didn't think I'd ever heard. I heard of jousting and I've heard of boats, but I never heard of the combination of the two as a sport. And then I started thinking, back when we were in college, we were challenged by one of the other fraternities to a game of water jousting. Do you remember that at all?
Paul, I'm going to have to rely on your memory on that. No, I really don't. Whether it's a selective amnesia by me or
Wow.
not recalling, but please help educate everyone.
Well, I'll tell you what, I called the alumni office to make sure, and they said, "Oh yeah, well, they sent me some photos and everything." The so here's what happened. We were challenged by another fraternity to a bout of water jousting one Saturday, and the older fraternity members put John and I in charge, as they like to do, because we were the younger guys, and we were supposed to get the equipment, John. So the lance wasn't so bad, but finding a boat in University Heights, Ohio, is pretty hard to do. So we couldn't find a boat, we couldn't find a canoe. The best we could do was inner tubes. So here's the inner tubes that John and I rode in the water jousting contest against this other fraternity. We didn't think it all the way through, though. And we didn't put those like boxing gloves on the end of our lances. So our lances were pretty pointed. And unfortunately, when the point of a lance meets the rubber of an inner tube, what we ended up with was deflated boats.
Not very seaworthy, unfortunately.
Not too good, not too good there. Fortunately, though, John, the ever ingenious John, was chewing gum at the time, and John proceeded to take that chewing gum. I think it was a big wad of bazooka, and he patched his tire and somehow blew up blew the air into it again. And here's John. Oh, there's one of the other fraternities, the boats over there. Here's John crossing the finish line, carrying his inner tube, but it didn't really matter. We won the competition, and I think that was the last time they held water jousting at our college.
Well, thanks for recalling that, Paul. Wow, I had forgotten about that, but thanks for bringing back that pleasant memory.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, pleasant memories. That's right. That's what they all are. What we can still remember, they're pleasant memories. Super sport, John. Thank you so much again for that.
You're more than welcome, Paul, Karen, and audience. Thank
I
you.
believe that's the last photo. Yeah, there we go. There, we're all the way back to the beginning. So let's knock that down here and put our lovely faces back up here. So at the end of sports, regular listeners know that means it's time for Bluff the Co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. Real easy to play Bluff the Co-host. I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. Those stories were real, or at least as real as they can be on the internet. These stories may be real, they may be a bluff, and it's up to Karen, John, and those of you playing at home to decide, real or bluff. Wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. Many bands are one-hit wonders who keep on playing concerts for decades. One-hit wonder band who took a different path is Brewer and Shipley, which is best known for their 1971 hit, One Toke Over the Line. The opening line of the song, One Toke Over the Line, Sweet Jesus, predicted their careers. Brewer quit smoking marijuana, moved to California, and became a drug counselor, helping many other musicians kick their habits or at least stop singing about them. Shipley went back to New York and devoted his life to sweet Jesus, becoming a monk in an order that took a vow of silence. If they wanted to or not, Brewer and Shipley could never sing One Toke Over the Line, Sweet Jesus again. Okay, so a one-hit wonder who, instead of continuing for decades playing that hit at concerts, decided to follow careers inspired by the first line of the song. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm sure my opponent is going to get this right because he knows everything there is about music. I have no idea, but I'm going to say it's false.
Okay, Karen says that convoluted story is a bluff. John, how about you?
Oh, convoluted sounds like a negative comment about
Oh,
that story,
okay.
but I'm
I
going to
was
go against.
anticipating.
Yeah, okay, I'm going against the grain on Karen on this one. I'm going to say that it's a true story, but I have to be honest on this. Even though I do know a lot about music trivia, I really don't know whatever happened to Brewer and Shipley after that song. So, not hearing any other hits by that group or those two gentlemen, I'm going to say that they took those paths, and I'm going to say that that's what happened. So I'm going to say it's true.
Okay, John says that's a real story. Karen says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges. Judges say congratulations go to Karen. That is a bluff. Uh,
Oh,
yeah. Now, the only thing real in that story is that the one took over the line was a one-hit wonder for Brewer and Shipley. That really was the name of the band that did it. However, they did not do those things. In fact, they did just like every other one-hit wonder band. They performed from 1971 until last year.
Really?
Yeah, until both of them passed away over the past year and a half.
oh, wow.
Yeah, how about that? Now, not only that, the other reason I like this story is that after graduating with a degree in geology from Baldwin Wallace University in 1963, Tom Shipley went to Kent and began playing the coffee house circuit in Kent, where he met Michael Brewer. So,
Wow.
how
That is,
about
That's an
that?
interesting Ohio connection there.
A
Wow. Yeah.
wonderful Ohio connection there. So sorry, John. I did a
Well, that's okay.
little bit
I
of
didn't know.
deception in there, a little bit of real mixed in with the bluff.
Yeah, I didn't, like I said again, never knew what happened to them, but
Yeah,
evidently they still kept singing the song.
they
So,
did. Yeah.
yep.
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
what do? You sing this song. Well, here's something from our new album. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, really.
Okay. Well, scores 1-0. Karen's in the lead. So let's get right to story number 2. Kids in the Great White North have birthday parties, just like other kids do, but it's often too cold for regular bouncy castles. So a company in Anchorage, Alaska has come up with ice bouncy castles for winter celebrations. First, they fill a regular bouncy castle with water instead of air and then leave it outside until it freezes solid. They then lift it onto a flatbed truck and take it to the party. They place mattresses on the ground, then shove the ice bouncy castle on top of them, and voila, frozen birthday fun. The bundled up kids can jump up and down like their warmer weather counterparts. Plus, they can slide everywhere. The company provides helmets and pads, but Alaskan kids are used to playing on the ice, so they seldom use them. After they're worn out, the ice bouncy castle truck serves hot cocoa before hauling the castle on to the next party. Okay, so a company in Anchorage, Alaska that makes frozen bouncy castles for birthday parties in Alaska. Real or bluff? John, we'll go with you on this one.
All right, thanks, Paul. I have a concern about the safety of the children doing this, right? I mean, it's kind of sounds like fun, but I mean, if it's frozen ice, obviously that are within these castles, they could hurt themselves. I'm gonna say it's a bluff. Even though Alaskan kids are used to the outdoors and they're hardy,
Yeah.
youngsters or what have you, but I still think it's a danger. I'm gonna say it's a bluff.
Okay. All right, John. Just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean that other kids
Well,
can't.
I'm a 72-year-old man on top of it. I mean, I don't know if a person of my age would be doing something like that. A couple
Uh,
years younger, maybe, but
well,
yeah,
yeah.
come on.
Maybe for your 75th party, we'll get one of those. Okay.
Wow, okay.
John says icy bounce castles is a bluff. Karen, how about you?
Well, I don't know how you bounce on the ice. And
Oh,
if
it's
you,
on the mattress. You don't bounce on the ice castle bounces on the mattress. So the
yeah,
mattresses are
yeah,
underneath.
but
So that's where they bounce.
you're gonna break the ice.
No, the ice stays solid. until,
For sure.
somebody has gas.
I'm going to say it's a bluff. You're explaining too much.
Too much to think about, Karen.
I'm trying to defend it. Yeah, there you go, John. Okay, both John and Karen say that ice bouncy castles are a bluff, and the judges say, you're right, it's a bluff.
All right, very good, Karen. Karen
Uh,
is 2 for 2. Very good.
As John
Yeah.
said, not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. At no age. No age is appropriate. Okay, so that means the score is 2-1, but points are Karen's in the lead, but points are doubled in round number 3. So John could come roaring back and have a wonderful weekend celebrating his victory. So let's see if he does with story number 3. According to some fitness gurus, the hot new trend in exercising is no rope jumping. Proponents of this activity say they have lost weight and inches while gaining strength and energy simply by jumping up and down 50 times as soon as they wake up. While jumping on the bed is easier on your knees, it's harder on the head if you bump the ceiling, so they recommend getting out of bed first. They claim that no rope jumping improves bone density, builds muscles, gets your bodily functions moving, and wakes you up. It also wakes up the people living below you and possibly the other person in bed, so you may want to move your jumping outside. Also, avoid it if you have knee or foot problems, balance issues, or break bones easily. 50 jumps won't impress your smartphone, and the people who make jump ropes hate the idea, but no rope jumping may be the way to get in shape for 2026. Okay, so the new fitness craze among the kids is no rope jumping. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you again.
Well, I'm going to almost say it's real because there's all these weird things that I've seen on the internet about exercising. Haven't seen that one yet, but I'm going to try it tomorrow morning. So I'm going to say it's real.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, Karen. Wow.
Yeah, let us know how that, what
I
your
will.
thinks.
Yeah.
Okay, so Karen says that no rope jumping is a real thing. John, how about you?
No, I'm going to disagree with Karen on this one. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I'm thinking that it would be hard on people not to have a rope that you're going to be using in that kind of activity, right? I mean, I think I think it would be difficult to do. I think too difficult for most people. So I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Oh, okay. So John says that it's a bluff. Kids don't try this at home. It's too difficult. Karen says it's a real story. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say the person having a good weekend this week is Karen. That is a real story. Yeah.
Karen, 3 for 3.
There you
Wow,
go,
I
Karen.
better
So
do that tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah, you're gonna lose weight. You're gonna
Yeah.
lose inches. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna bump your head on the ceiling fan.
Yeah.
Get a trim. How about that? Wow, so you got all 3 right. So poor John will be hitting the flashcards again this weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flashcards this week for us for sure. Congratulations, Karen. Very good.
Buddy up.
Very
I
good.
know if everybody out there who did about the same as John. John is going to be marketing a line of flashcards for
Stay tuned for more information about that.
There you go. That's right. We all have side hustles on this show. And anyways, I hope that everybody who was listening got all 3 right, and most importantly, enjoyed listening to What in the World for another week. I want to thank our producer, co-host, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, Karen Hale. Thank you for everything that you do for us at What in the World, and for all the great podcasts you have at newclevelandradio.net. Everybody out there, check it out. Newclevelandradio.net gives you all the information about Karen, about our show, about Yes I Can coaching with Karen, about Cassandra Kubinski, our other
Sponsor.
Yeah, there you go. I'm running out of words here. Also, some information about Channel 13. We'll be talking about that more as the year goes on, and our new relationship with the Channel 13 Cleveland News site. So stay tuned for that. It's big news. It's big for us. Hopefully it'll be big for Channel 13 as well. So again, thank you, Karen. Thank you to my old buddy John DiNallo, our co-host. host of What in the World of Sports, all around good guy, puts up with my nonsense every week and keeps coming back for more, except next week when John will be taking the week off on a well-deserved 2-week sabbatical to really bone up on his flashcards.
Yeah, I'll be back not next week, but the following week, like you said, Paul, and hopefully I'll be able to have a better performance and be able to compete with Karen a little bit better.
Hey, you
There
did
you
a
go.
great job today.
Yeah, and hopefully your sports team, the last sports team we have playing in Cleveland for a while, the Cavaliers will have a good few games as well. So
Sure.
we'll all be in a good mood. Plenty of stuff for the Cavaliers to recycle. And
Good.
of course, as always, we want to thank all of you out there listening, whether you're listening live. Wow, if you're listening live, thank you so much for taking time out of your Tuesday afternoons at 3:30 to listen to us. We really appreciate that. Those of you listening in the future or watching us on YouTube in the future, thank you so much for tuning in, no matter how you found us. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you, our longtime listeners. We appreciate our new listeners. We hope that you have as much fun with listening to the show as we do putting it on every week. That's the reason why we do it. And on that note, I am out of here. I don't have any flashcards to study, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do next.
You'll have a good week there,
Next
Paul.
week's show, yeah.
Well, we'll
Oh,
see you all next week.
yes, we will. All
Goodbye,
right.
everyone.
Bye.
Take
Bye,
care. Have a good
everybody.
week.